West Denver. Sleep deprived and heavily caffeinated.
All right, let's do this then.
This is the Jeff and Bill Show.
I don't agree with that.
They don't always agree, but hey, at least they have coffee.
Coffee.
And each other.
I love you, man.
God help us.
I want to bless him. We need all the help we can get.
Now here's Jeff Hunt and Bill Thorpe. The Jeff and Bill Show on News Talk 710 KNUS.
It's 7 a.m. in the Mile High City on this Friday, October 17th, 2025. Good morning, Denver, Colorado. You've tuned in to the Jeff and Bill Show, News Talk 710, KNUS. Bill's out this week and wrapping up what's been a wild week for our program is Bree and Paul from CityCast Denver, one of those popular podcasts, web news, newsletters, all that stuff, all the craziness happening in Denver. You guys are like quintessential Denver. I mean, you're a little quirky, a little serious. It's Denver.
I mean,
well done.
Bree is
Well,
quintessential
I don't
Denver.
ski. I don't horseback ride. I don't feel like I am quintessential Denver, but I am from here by the nature of, randomness. My dad was an Army brat. My mom ended up here, so
You're a native.
I am, and I
native,
love
and
it
you're
here.
a transplant. So
Yeah,
that's a
it's
good
a little bit of both. We try to do a
Colorado
balance.
list. So we were talking Do Better Denver.
We were.
You got a big piece coming out, 5280, about them. So they go dark.
Yes.
And
then they come back.
And
with
then
an
they come
apology.
back, and this was right around the time that Charlie was assassinated. So
that's the
I
real
imagine
answer.
if I mean that impacted me big time. It impacted a lot of conservatives that just went, "What am I doing?" I don't know if that was the impetus, but it seems like that's right around the same time. But you talked to Jimmy, who's, by the way, was a regular at this station for years. He had his own show here.
All right, let's just forget Jimmy. I'll cut to the chase. Of course, it's Charlie Kirk. So they went dark on September 12th. Charlie Kirk was assassinated on September 10th. And I was DMing with Do Better Denver when they came back, and I was like, hey, what's up? Because we had been speculating it on the podcast. They had listened to the podcast, and they were like, you were exactly right. Because I quoted some comments that I had gotten from Jimmy about his own feelings. And so they were like, yeah, Charlie's death shook me, rattled me, and it made me reassess some things. And then I later spoke with Mandy Connell, who is also in the piece, who's another person who was like cheering Do Better Denver on when they were at their most pugnacious. And then when Do Better Denver came back and apologized, Mandy was like, I get it too. I like the new direction because, and her great quote was, when you wake up and you realize that there's a certain percentage of the population that would cheer if you died, it makes you stop and think. And reassess your choices. And I think Do Better Denver had the same moment of, maybe what I'm doing, antagonizing people, some people might say, demonizing people. Maybe this isn't the best way to talk about public policy.
And then they came back and they seemed just as active. I don't know. What's your perspective?
Well, this is also a funny moment in the piece because I asked them, so explain to me what's different now. You say you don't want to be divisive. What is that going to mean? Are you going to call
on the bond issue? They have an opinion.
They've been, they have got strong opinions still. But are you still going to call the mayor Meth Camp Mike? Are you still going to call? They call us one of the 7 words you're not supposed to say on the radio.
Yes.
So I won't.
CityCast, you guys.
We were given. We had the honor of a mean nickname from Do Better Denver.
I love a hater.
I mean, it was, mark of, I'm proud of that. I mean, it's nice to have, judge me by my enemies. But, I said, are you still going to call him Meth Camp Mike? They said, no, that was, maybe a little too personal. We were a little harsh to the mayor and the mayor's wife with the Gollum picture, which was incredibly mean and personal in a way that was so unnecessary. And they were like, no, I'm not. I think I'm not going to do the name calling. And then an hour later, they DM me again, and they were like, you know what? Name calling actually has a purpose. It's actually good sometimes. So I'm still going to call people names. But for you, we're going to stop calling you, the mean version of CityCast that they said. Because
you Do Better
I know,
Denver.
I know.
Oh my gosh, you guys are the best.
I thought it was
Stop
interesting.
calling us names. You should get a cookie for that.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, this is their journey. I think I don't know. I mean, I'd be interested in your perspective, Jeff, on how people, like the fans of Do Better Denver, have responded to this new direction.
To be honest, I'm not that aware of it.
Yeah? You were saying you haven't noticed.
Meth Camp Mike isn't that derogatory. I mean, there's
You don't
other
think?
stuff. Oh, no. Brittany Pedersen's had the
If you were going to lunch
the
with-
nickname Heroin Barbie on this station for a long time because she
Yeah,
wanted
that's-
the drug injection sites.
Yeah.
So
Safe injection sites. Hell yeah. She doesn't want him anymore. Don't worry about it.
Yeah,
She's not even on our side anymore, so it's fine. Us radical lefties are like, nah, girl ain't even radical for us.
Brittany Pedersen's too conservative
Oh,
for you guys?
100%, for sure.
Oh
yeah.
my gosh.
Yeah, she voted to further criminalize drug use after
Yes.
that, and it did not work. Statistically, did not change anything. So, yeah,
Wow.
she's not a
it is so interesting to see the division happening within the
What's
Democrats.
your view of this?
Of the drug sites?
Yeah,
or
what Bree was just saying. Brittany Pedersen
Oh, no,
and fentanyl
it's a
felonization.
disaster to have the drug injection sites. In fact, this station went up to Toronto to see what was happening up there and filmed, and it was an absolute disaster. I mean, the amount of people that were just basically overdosing on the side of the street right outside of this place. Criminalize the heck out of it. And treat the cartels like they are terrorist organizations. Drop bombs on them. Go all in. I mean,
Drop bombs on them?
Oh, 100%. Okay, so look,
On
you
the
ready for this?
The cartels?
Yeah.
I was
Yes.
like, that's not
And those
getting
little
caught up in
boats,
this.
those
It's
little
like
boats that are coming
low-level
up.
offenders, though,
Send
that are
them up.
like they're
Okay,
like
so
50th down the chain. You're not getting the cartel.
We went to war, spent we lose 3,000 of our finest fighting the Taliban and Islamists in Afghanistan over the death of 3,000 Americans on 9/11. Okay, we spent $1 billion fighting them. Fentanyl and drugs kill 100,000 a year in this country. Like, go to war against these cartels. 100%.
I feel like this is the pitch we heard for the war on drugs like 30 years ago.
Oh yeah.
Yes, and
Yeah.
I'm a big
if
fan.
It worked,
I'm a
it
big
would
fan
be
on the
long
war on
over by
drugs.
now, but it has not done a single thing. It has gotten worse.
Not done a
So
single
why
thing.
why has it not worked? Why
Yeah.
have we not won the war on drugs?
Because that's like saying we're going to win the war on rape. I mean, you're always going to
Do you not want to
have-
go to war on rape?
No, I do. And I want to go to war on drugs too. But just because it continues doesn't mean that you've won it entirely. Look what happened in Oregon. Oregon got into this kind of like, we're just going to treat drug use as a health issue and we're going to hope you come in and get some care. And it was such a disaster in Oregon that they've walked back that whole decriminalization effort. So Vic Vell and I hosted this thing on drug use and criminalization and all this stuff. And I said, absolutely put people in jail. And I made everybody in the audience gasp. But then afterwards, a dad came up to me and said, you know, when my son had been arrested, I at least knew that somebody was going to watch over him that night and he wasn't going to overdose that evening. I see incarceration as a compassionate way to treat drug use. 100%.
Wow. I don't even know what to say to that.
I mean,
I think if there was programs in place, I think this is the thing is people are always like, people need to go to treatment. People need to go to treatment and recovery. There isn't that those are not available options for most people. A lot of folks, this stems from things like housing instability. And like I said, like long-term trauma, maybe they don't have family to help with them if they're in their worst moments. And I just have to say again, from helping somebody through heroin addiction and recovery, they could not have done that without the support of their family, and not everybody has that. And now my family member is a vital part of our community he has a kid, he has a family. It's like changed our lives, but part of that was because we were able to help him and he stayed out of jail.
So in your case, though, you had a family step in, cared a lot about him. So if nobody has that,
right,
and is living in a tent,
so why
drug
is jail
addicted,
the answer?
Yeah,
because it's an actual form of stepping in. Because what else do you
why
do?
not just housing and some form of most of these folks just need some stability, and it's
you think
not.
So that's all. Just some stability.
To start, I think about. I mean, I'm in recovery 19 years from alcohol. A huge reason I was able to do that, I had a soft place to land. I got to go home to my mother mother's house as a 26-year-old drunk and not have to worry about my bills until I got myself together and started going back to work. And I had a place where I was not being judged and I was being taken care of. Changed my entire trajectory of my life. And I am lucky. A lot of folks I know, especially folks in the throes of addiction or folks that I've lost to addiction, don't have that. And it's really about taking care of people. It's not like jail doesn't take care of people as far as I've ever seen. It's mostly torn families apart.
Paul?
Oh, man, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I look to Bree for a lot of these things, but my personal experience, like, I guess I'm informed on this by my experience volunteering in a homeless shelter for 3 years.
Yeah.
You know, and watching the relationship between being unhoused and how that kind of how problems snowball together. Like sometimes I came to this idea of like, it seems to take a whole day to prepare for a night when you're living on the streets. And when you need to spend all your time tracking down a wallet that was stolen, or a form you need to apply for a housing, or some just inane
someone stole your phone charger
bullshit,
and your phone is dead.
Constantly, it is a barrage of just like impossible things that and you just can't figure it out. And so the housing is the thing you need, the basic thing you need to be able to have a foundation to build on. And otherwise, living on the street, you know, that's when people turn to drugs and alcohol. I heard about it constantly, like, oh, I need this stuff to stay warm tonight. You know, these things snowball on each other, they compound on each other and make themselves worse. Housing is the thing that gets people a leg up.
But I think there's some areas of commonality, and I'll get to Blake. I know the producers are going, you got news and comment, but with Blake, but I'll get to it in a second. But this is why I love this show, because we can have these conversations. So I think it sounds like we have common ground in the sense that someone living in a tent, drug addicted, is not good. It's not good for the person. It's not good for the society, the mom that wants to take their kids to the park. Like, it's just not, in my mind, it's not compassionate to allow people to live drug addicted in tents. Can we agree on that?
I mean, it's not, if there is a better option, sure, but I don't know if folks would say there is a better option right now for them.
But so if that's the starting point, then I can understand how, you know, someone that's more progressive could go, housing first. Let's get them off the street, give them housing, okay? My critique of housing first is that I'm not sure there's any real requirement that they stop using drugs. So now we're just providing a home for them to be stoned in, which I don't like. But I think if we can get to a place of agreement where we're like, it's because this is what happened when they shut down the mental health facilities in the 80s, is they went to this community care model. And community care model was nobody cares. And you're going to just end up living in a tent, drug addicted. And that's got to be addressed. If we want to go to housing, I can debate housing versus incarceration, that type of stuff. But if we could just start with the idea that we don't want you living drug addicted in a tent, then I think we can find some common ground to move forward on.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know anyone that wouldn't agree with that.
Yeah,
no one wants
as long
this.
as it's not jail.
I think the problem. I think you're the
jail
thing about,
does not solve things.
The thing about housing first is that it's a very popular slogan, but it's much more complicated. It's very complicated. Yeah, because each person has very unique needs and a very unique circumstance. You know, some people are going to have some semblance of a support system in their lives. Some people are going to have advantages other people don't have, or disadvantages. So once you get to like an individual, like maybe the apartment is enough. Maybe they need a little bit more help, you know, getting ready to apply for jobs. Maybe they need a little bit more support finding some support, treatment services or something like that. Like, and that's where it gets hard. And the real problem is much more expensive.
Yeah.
Bespoke service providing for individual people, like the hardest cases, that's so expensive, and there's never been an appetite to spend enough.
Would you be okay with getting to a point where we're creating more mental health facilities? Because you do have some people that are just, they need 24-hour a day mental health services. And I think since we shut those down in the 80s and 90s.
But I want to talk about that because do we need to go to a break?
Well, we always need to go to a break.
I was like, because I have
Do you want to go to a longer conversation on this?
I
Okay,
do,
we will. Plus, look at that. We got phone lines lighting up here. All right, you are listening to the Jeff and Bill Show. Bree, Paul, CityCast Denver, live in studio. Let's get to news and comment with Blake Olson.
Blake Olson.
Blake Olson, news and comment.
Just like you were saying.
Hey, good morning. TGIF 42 and clear. Beautiful. Expecting a high of 66 today. News sponsored by Pastor Camp Heating and Air Conditioning at 303-777-1234 to learn more about special savings opportunities on Lennox equipment. Our top story, Ukrainian President Zelensky expected to ask for American missiles when he meets with DJT today. Zelensky will be at the White House to discuss the possibility of receiving Tomahawk missiles as part of the ongoing effort to end the Russia-Ukraine war. They're also expected to discuss Trump's recent call with Putin.
Just indicted by a grand jury in Maryland. Do you have a reaction to that?
I didn't know that. You told me for the first time, but I think he's, a bad person.
Former DJT National Security Advisor Mustache Man John Bolton is scheduled to surrender to federal authorities in Maryland today. Bolton was indicted Thursday on federal charges tied to alleged mishandling of classified documents following FBI searches of his Maryland home and D.C. office in August.
I think he's a bad guy. Yeah, he's a bad guy. It's too bad, but that's the way it goes.
The case against him?
That's the way it goes, right? That's the way it goes. Will I what?
Have you reviewed the case against him?
No, I haven't. But I just think he's a bad person. Okay.
FAFO. James Comey is next, hopefully, because Steve Bannon told Tucker, and I agree with him here, Patriots want accountability.
And people, and many people waking up, the MAGA base knows it. They got the pitchforks. They're ready to roll. In fact, every day when I do the show, they're blowing me up of, hey, why are we not doing more about the deep state? Why are we not naming names? Why are people out there? Which is great. So we have a voting base of blue collar and middle class people who say we've had a belly full of this and we want action, right? And you have still a political apparatus that continues to say, because even Dan Bongino, those guys are police. Look when our people.
Got to end it. Got to go right now. Let's get it done. Wasting time. DJT a few minutes ago on Commie Mom Donnie in New York City in the mayor's race.
Urging or encouraging any candidates in the New York City mayor's race to drop out to clear the field?
No, I don't like to see a communist become mayor. I will tell you that. And I don't think you can win unless you have one-on-one, because somehow he's gotten a little bit of a lead. I have no idea how that happened, but I'd prefer not to have a communist mayor of New York City. And, that's what he is based on his policy, if you look at his statements in the past. So I would like to see two people drop out and have it be one-on-one. And I think that's a race that could be won. Yeah.
The government remains partially shut down for the 17th straight day as the impasse drags on. U.S. Senate employees will not receive another paycheck until things reopen. It's all designed so the chaos creators will be all fired up tomorrow when the globalists hand them their signs at the No King's Day across the country. I think like 2,500 locations. Crazy. A gym owner in Aspen says a pair of black bears broke into his business late Tuesday night. Ajax Fitness owner David Mills says surveillance video showed the bears pulling open a door to get in. Hey, let's go see what's in there. And then once inside, the bears went after protein shakes and protein mix.
All of our coffee pods, ate all of our protein powders, supplements, creatine, like it got into everything and just kind of went to town.
Colorado Parks and Wildlife says that the bears are trying to consume as many calories as they can for the winter. An electric bear doormat was installed at the gym. The latest strike on a suspected drug boat in the Caribbean is reportedly the first to leave survivors since the attacks started last month. Venezuela says Thursday's strike killed 6, bringing the death toll in these attacks to 27. A U.S. official said that there were survivors in the latest incident, but little other information given. We have college football tomorrow, another big one, Wyoming and Air Force, the annual rivalry. CU is off, Hawaii at CSU, UNC at Sacramento State. And then last night we had the Steelers and the Bengals and the old guys at quarterback, Joe Flacco and Aaron Rodgers. This is Flacco.
Flacco down the sideline, caught! And sliding to a stop at the 6 is Higgins. Brilliant. Just brilliant.
Yes, he's kept the clock running. He could have gone into the end zone, but they kick the field goal, take all the time off the clock, 33-31. Flacco and the Bengals win it. 39 in Lone Tree, 40 in North Glen, 42 in Denver. Jeff and special guests Paul and Bree in the studio for Billy today on TGIF. Blake Olson, News Talk 710 KNUS.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. Billy's out today, live in studio with me, Bree and Paul from CityCast Denver. Man, the conversations are great. Friday, we're taking you into the weekend with a lot of good conversations. Let's go to the phone lines. Gina, Aurora. Good morning, Gina. You're on with Jeff and Bree and Paul.
Good morning, everyone. I just wanted to share, I have a niece who was homeless, drug addict, out on the streets, lived in a tent. No parents, both of her parents are deceased. My sister and I our home was always open to her. She chose not to take that opportunity. Out there committing crimes to support her habit, went to jail, and that's the only thing that saved her. I mean, she has a bachelor's degree and is almost like a few credits shy of a master's, out on the street, drug addicted. She's now working, I think, with some kind of addiction recovery place, but numerous felonies now. I mean, her career is pretty much like she could never work in criminal justice. But I just want to say that jail did save her. She did not take the opportunity for a soft place to land with either myself or my sister.
And I think from my perspective, too, is that drug use, especially public drug use, starts to affect other people. And I think that's part of what you have to take into the equation, right? Like if you're shooting up in a park and mom wants to take the kids to the park, well, now she's got to deal with somebody that's now a threat, a problem in the park. And I just think that that's part of the conversation that's going to happen. But I don't know, Bree, what do you want to respond to it?
Yeah, sure. Gina, first of all, thank you so much for calling in. Thanks for being there for your relative, even if they didn't take that opportunity. I'm sorry that went that direction. I do have to say, I mean, I'm glad that she got help. It is interesting to me, though, that because of jail, she cannot actually now function in civil society, even though she has a master's degree, which says something to me about how criminal justice actually affects folks in the long term. So I understand how it helped her get out of that, but also now she's forever a criminal. And she made those decisions for herself. For sure, she made those decisions for herself. But I struggle to see how jail was really the only thing that helped her if in the end of it, she can't get out of things because she's been in jail.
Well, maybe someday she can get it expunged. But, I mean, she did commit the crimes, and she needs to own up to that and face the consequences.
And she's living it every day, so I think she is.
I mean, do you guys think that we have... so I studied homelessness in seminary, similar to the way you volunteered in a homeless shelter. So I've been a part of it, and it's changed, right? So 50s and 60s, it was generally a rescue mission, a hot and a cot. It was a place where you were temporarily in a rough time. But granted, back then, it was alcohol, not necessarily drugs, the same way that we're dealing with it today. But do you guys think that we've created a society where people can choose to live homeless? Like, I've run into this issue because we've hosted Step Denver here before that, some people just don't want a lifestyle where they have to deal with the consequences of their decision. They get to just kind of live out on the street, pursue what they want. They don't have to show up anywhere on time. They don't have to care for anybody. They're just kind of living a life free of those consequences.
I mean, sure. I mean, that's probably a percentage of it. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm thinking what I wanted to say earlier to something that you were talking about was the intersection of folks who are homeless and folks who are disabled is much higher than the average population. So we're looking at almost 50% of folks who are homeless are also either have an intellectual or a physical disability. That changes your entire experience in the world and what you do and do not have access to. A lot of times too with intellectual disabilities, they can't follow basic things. They need some sort of support. And so I just think that the important part here is, yes, I would agree with you. There is probably a percentage of people that are like, I want to live the free hobo lifestyle for sure. I want to travel on trains and I don't want to have to pay for anything. But I just don't know if that's the epitome of the experience of walking up to somebody who's unhoused in Denver on the streets right now.
Oh, we lost Gina.
Oh.
Well, thanks for calling in,
Thanks,
Gina.
Paul, do you want to respond?
I want to hear Bree more on this, honestly. This is her topic. I'm enjoying this.
We were going to get to something. I'm trying to remember what it was. And then
it was that. It was just, I just want to talk about that the homeless experience cannot be, it's not a monolith. It is not everyone that does drugs. And I will say, I learned this from working directly with Denver Homeless Out Loud. I also learned this from working with my friends. I have a great group of friends that are disabled in the disability community, and they've taught me so much about the barriers that they face as folks that are not homeless trying to get through the government hoops. Like, disabled people cannot get married. They lose their benefits if they get married. Right. So
it's the marriage penalty. Yeah, we talk about that.
Yeah, yep. Or they can't, like they have a cap of how much money they can make. But so you make this much money, but then you lose your housing. But that housing is accessible to them. Like one of my friends, Kaylin Heffernan, is fully in a power chair, wheelchair, her 24 hours a day. She needs a building that's accessible. She works. She does all the things that everybody says, but she has all these barriers up against her because she's disabled. But she also has support systems around her. And so there's just I think the intersection of disability and homelessness needs to be more examined than just all these people are drug addicts. All these people don't care about themselves. All these people don't want to be a part of society. It's like, it's just a much bigger spectrum than we give credit
for. Sure, I understand that. I think you're right in that analysis. It's a big spectrum. Okay. John Hickenlooper says he's going to get rid of homelessness in a decade, right?
Nailed it. Thanks, John.
Yeah, right.
That road
we
to end
poured
homelessness,
a lot of
ended.
resources.
For sure.
Heritage Foundation has looked at the safety net that we've built in this country. Everything from Medicaid and Medicare to Social Security to TANF to EBT cards, all that stuff. We have spent more money seeking to alleviate poverty in this country than all the wars we've fought combined, money-wise. That's Heritage Foundation
That
analysis.
is a claim.
Yeah, that is.
Who at the Heritage? We can put a pin in this, but I just want to say, what?
Yep, that is their argument.
What are you talking about?
Their argument is that we have spent more money trying to alleviate poverty since Johnson said we're going to declare war on poverty than all the other wars we've combined fought for. And the percentage of those that are homeless has not changed at all. So are we spending money wisely and actually seeking to alleviate poverty? Or have we created a poverty industrial complex that actually is just a jobs program for people that want to work in poverty?
I don't know if we created a billionaires industrial complex. I mean, there's how many more billionaires are there now than in 1980? I mean, you and I grew up here, Jeff. I know folks that were living on the margins in the 90s. You could get an apartment off of Colfax. You could have a job at a restaurant and live there and make enough money to work. I don't know anybody that can do that anymore. Most folks I know have multiple jobs, or they're living with their parents, or I mean, like that's the thing that I feel like is missing in this conversation is like the dynamics have changed. It's more expensive to exist. So that's part of why the safety net is needed there, is because the person that works at Walmart full time and is 65 years old that can't afford their rent, but what's the Walton Penner Group doing? They're going to go build a new stadium for the Broncos. Like, that disparity is so huge to me, and it's just gotten bigger and bigger that we have to look at the realities of what these folks are, the folks that utilize these services, the other stuff they're doing in their lives to try to get out of it. It's really hard. Like I said, disabled people are a great example. You hit a barrier, you can't get more successful, or you lose 50% of what was helping you. So, I mean, I don't know. I guess I would just disagree that I don't think that the safety net has supported folks as much as it could based on how much some people have in this country versus others.
Well, I guess my question is, like, for instance, the CEO of Homelessness Alleviation out of Los Angeles makes $300,000 a year, yet there's no incentive whatsoever to actually remove anybody from homelessness in the sense of create a system by which they've gotten out of it. So I'm looking at John Hickenlooper saying we're going to end homelessness. Now you can make the argument that homelessness is worse than it's ever been, or close to some of its record highs here in Colorado. So we've poured a lot of money into it. Is it actually working? Is there an incentivization by those that care for them homeless to help them get out of it?
That's a good question. I think a lot of folks that work with homelessness directly might tell you, yes, the large organizations aren't doing the jobs. I mean, I think we just saw that, right? I think the Salvation Army's contracts got pulled from the city, and now they're contracting with 3 smaller organizations in an attempt to, I think, address directly what you're talking about. So maybe it remains to be seen.
Yeah,
Paul,
Johnston just put in place some, it was quite interesting, I thought, the way he changed the contracts with these new providers.
Interesting.
Because it was not, previously it was just like, hey, you just run the Comfort Inn, we want, that's what we want. We'll give you the money, you do this. And then there were so many problems with security that what they've done now is they have tied the payment to these providers directly to performance. And he's created these incentives you're talking about. So they are going to only get paid, these providers like St. Francis, like these other 2 that have been selected, based on how many people they process through and what are the outcomes. Now, is that a better system? I don't know.
We don't know. I mean, it does raise questions for me because I'm like, well, now are you just kind of like shuffling people away? Like, look, our homeless.
That's been a lot of people's criticism of Johnston's approach already.
Yeah.
Is folks just say, oh, he's just folks that work in that system are saying he's cycling folks through here and they're ending up back on the street. The numbers are not. They're a little opaque. Yeah. So I would agree with you that it remains to be seen. But maybe it shows something. I don't know. This is kind of that conversation. Is Denver getting better? Well, seems like he's trying something new.
All right, you guys have jam-packed phone lines. We don't have a single open line right now. So they're all ready to talk to you. Bree Paul, CityCast Denver, live in studio, co-hosting with me today. We're having a fascinating conversation, and we are going to get to your phone calls next. I want to talk to you first about Guy Rees. Wife and I went into Guy Rees recently, had a fantastic experience. We got to sit down with their professional designers. They showed us an incredible selection of Hunter Douglas custom blinds, shades, and shutters. Look, I was a little overwhelmed at first. I've never worked with a personal design consultant, mostly because I thought it was going to be crazy expensive. It wasn't. It was very affordable, and we had a wonderful experience. She was an absolute pro. Her name was Crystal. She walked us through everything and helped us find the perfect options to enhance the look and functionality of our home. So whether your curtains are clashing or you just want a fresh new look, Guy Rees has the solution for you. Their designers are the experts, and they answered my wife's 1,000 questions about all the different types of blinds, shades, and shutters. So they cover everything from window treatments to full room decor. But here's the best part. They offer a personalized in-home consultation. They'll come directly to you. They came out to the house, brought samples. They did laser measurements. It was awesome. And now I have blinds that work on remote controls, which is so cool. So you can get the same expert advice right in your own home. Do yourself a favor. Get started today. Visit GuyRees.com to schedule your in-home consultation. That's GUIRYS.com. GUIRYS.com. Go see the great people at Guy Rees. You'll be sure to thank me, and we'll continue our conversation phones hot. You're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show, News Talk 710 KNUS. Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. Live in studios, Bree and Paul with CityCast Denver. Now, you claim the progressive mantle. Are you more of an independent? Are you progressive? Are you
Paul does
I'm
not
a journalist.
like a
He's
mantle.
a journalist.
Yeah, my thing is I'm pursuing the truth in service of the community. That's my
I
mission.
like that. I appreciate that. What
I'm
I
old
don't
school.
like is when people are like, I'm a journalist, but really they're just progressive activists. I'm like, just embrace it. Be
Or
a progressive activist.
like Do Better Denver, they call themselves a journalist, but they also call the mayor Meth Camp Mike.
Yeah, I wouldn't put them in the journalist category either. I think they're maybe citizen journalists, but I'm not even sure that's
I
fair.
hate that term.
I hate that term,
Honestly,
too.
that makes me sick.
Really?
I hate it so much.
I don't think you need a degree to do journalism. I know a lot of great reporters that don't. But
it's such. I mean,
what are you producing?
I didn't know you were as fired up about this as me.
I mean, I don't like to be like, oh, I have a journalism degree. I do, but it doesn't mean what I'm. That's why I do what I do. I just don't think torturing people on Twitter makes you a citizen journalist. I mean, I tortured people on Twitter for years. I get it.
But you're an activist.
I mean, people give me that label, but I don't organize. I'm not an organizer in any sense. I do show up to certain things. I mean, before this job, for sure, I was more involved. But as I've done this work, I used to write a personal column for Westward.
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
about my life, so I could participate in those things. But now I've pulled back a little bit. But my politics are still the same. I'm still like a crazy radical lefty or whatever you want to call me. You know?
Yeah, I mean, you're trying to advance an agenda. I'm trying to advance an agenda. I'd say that all the time.
I just try to share
conservative.
what I know in my experience when people ask about it. I don't know if I have an agenda as much as like, I don't know. I just care about people. I don't know. I don't know. I don't want to put too much on it because I do
definitely
represent
don't
the show.
care about
You know,
people at all. So let's go to the phone lines. Jeff in Golden. Good morning, Jeff. You're on with Paul, Bree, and Jeff Hunt.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, yes. I'm a native as well. We got a lot of natives right now, right here. That's rare. But I may be a little older. I graduated high school in '93, so I'm more of a Gen X. Like we were the ones, just a little different crowd. But I'll tell you, it's interesting to me. I remember going downtown Denver and doing a report with the old camcorder and a VHS, and I went to go find homeless people. You know what I mean? I was going to go interview a homeless, and I have such vivid memories of that night going down. In 16th Street, you could find a guy, like literally a guy. You know what I mean? And they had like 7 coats on and looked like like a marshmallow man laying there on a park bench type homeless, and that image always stuck with me. I go to college out in Southern California, and I always, at that time, then it was just like very confusing. I was like, because California had a ton of homeless people, but it was a different climate, and to be homeless in Denver, I always thought was just it just didn't make any sense. You know what I mean? It's just too cold. You know what I mean? You're not going to do well sleeping in the streets of Denver. You know what I mean? And man, have we seen this change? You know what I mean? It's just incredible how that whole thing has
Jeff,
changed.
I agree with you on the change. Do you have a question for Paul and Bree?
Yeah, well, a lot of it, I wonder on the whole, just that has changed. And a lot of it, like Bree was saying, it's gotten so expensive. And a lot of that, I see that. And, but we've also let people do this or whatever, as far as camping on the streets and everything. But anyway, it's just a long journey there. But the one thing that I did tell your screener on, and I'm a big, I've done work out on the plains and stuff like this and in red states or whatever. And I got to meet some prisons and stuff out there. And it's just interesting to me how maybe red states, and I don't know if there's any truth to this, but maybe prisons and stuff in red states focus more on rehabilitation or trying to turn out a better person. They may keep them in longer, but they literally do have kitchens and like workshops and stuff. And they're learning skills in these jails and prisons. And I see here in Colorado, I have a feeling we try to defund them, and we hate prisons, and so we don't give them a penny, and they're terrible, and the prisons are terrible, and the jails conditions here in blue Colorado, I feel, are probably terrible, to be honest. And I wish
Jeff,
we could get to an area where they would.
Response,
I wish we could get to
Bree, Paul.
Yeah.
I've never been inside a prison.
I know. I was like,
you're making me so curious, Jeff. I got to get in there and see for myself. I always want to do that kind of thing. I need to take a tour.
I'm with you, Paul. I don't know much about the carceral system from the inside. So, but I will say,
I've never been in prison. It's like I'm speaking from. I actually threw a race out in Kansas, and I just worked. I got my food for a dirt car race, and
Jeff, thank you. So I do think. I don't know about the differences in the prisons, but I can tell you that Douglas County prisons, for instance, 80% of the people in Douglas County prisons or in their jail are not from Douglas County, which is intriguing to me. So I'm like, well, so they're running around Colorado. They just happen to get caught in Douglas County. So you have that dynamic happening. And then you have the PR bonds, the personal reconnaissance bonds. So we're not putting people in jail like we used to because we now have that issue. Do you guys have any comments on the PR bonds?
I don't. This is a blind spot for me. I would just say he said that the training and stuff is better in red states. I did visit a hair salon actually on Colfax in New York called R&R Head Labs, and they specifically hire formerly incarcerated people. And they cut hair and they give them a job. And I think that's a huge part of coming out of the system. I think our caller earlier, Gina, brought this up, is like, once you've been in jail, it can make it very hard for you to re-enter society in a way that you want, that you want to be a productive member of society. So I'd be curious to learn more about what Jeff's talking about in terms of red states versus blue states and where that funding goes.
I got a story on this. This is a crazy story from my weird life in podcasting. But I used to work on a show called The Confessional with Nadia Boltz-Weber, who would be an excellent guest on the show at some point, Jeff. She's a local Lutheran pastor who got pretty famous for writing a really badass memoir. So she did a podcast where she talked to people about their very worst moments in their life and how they came back from them. And she had met this man who, his name is Chris, and he was a murderer. There's no way to sugarcoat it. He killed a person, and he came on. I had this call with him. He told the story. I was like, you got to be on the podcast. So he told the story of he got into a bad situation, dealing drugs. He had a dispute with someone. It escalated, and he shot someone dead. And he's telling this like 15 years later, dispassionately. And the reason why I was in a position to talk to him is because he went to jail in California, where he had access to a program where he learned how to code. He became a software developer. This guy's making 6 figures now. He's totally reformed. He completely changed his life thanks to this enormous investment California made in this prison to do like programming school for inmates, people like a guy who murdered someone. I thought that was an incredible story. I don't know if that's indicative of California, but that changed my life hearing that guy's story.
Well, Gary, Bob, we're going to get to you all next. Phone lines are hot. We do have one open line if you want to join the conversation, 303-696-1971. Text us on the Dan Caplis Law text line at 720-819-5115. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show, News Talk 710 KNUS. Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. Bill's out this week. He'll be back Monday. Don't worry. Bree and Paul with CityCast Denver, kind enough to sit in studio with me and debate everything from Do Better Denver to the Palestinian-Israeli conflict to homelessness to drug use to all that stuff. We are just covering it all. Let's go to the phone lines. Let's go to Gary in Denver. Good morning, Gary. You're on with Jeff, Paul, and Bree.
Good morning, Bree and Paul. I love your podcast. I listen to it frequently.
Hey, thanks for listening,
Thank
Gary.
you.
Thanks for calling.
And, one of the ways anyone can get an idea of what's going on in Denver is to watch the city council meetings and the city council committee meetings. Do you do that?
You guys
do we watch?
Yeah, do you sit down there and listen to that?
Sometimes we do. If it's a big issue, we will definitely do that. I mean, I know a lot of folks that do that, not just like for fun, but to see what's actually happening. I think that's a great point. You want to know what's happening at the city level? They're getting to the granular details every day. It's a great point,
Yeah,
Gary.
they recently broadcast all of the budget meetings, and as you probably know, they eliminated, I think, 800 vacancies, and I wanted to get your opinion on this. The best thing that ever happened to Denver, one of the best things, is the downturn in revenue and the cutoff of federal COVID funding, because it's required the city to, trim their budget and cut out the fat. And if you watched any of those meetings, all of the agency heads said, we're not going to be able to reduce, we won't reduce any services, and we cut all these vacancies, which just shows me there was about $200 million of fat in the budget.
Ooh, intriguing. I'd love to hear your thoughts, Paul, Bree.
I think what is fat and what is muscle is a matter of perspective and opinion. I think for some people, something like the parking magistrate's office looks like fat, but for someone who gets a ticket and wants to dispute it, it sure seems pretty critical.
Yeah, there was a lady this week. Someone profiled her. I can't remember, and she was pissed because she couldn't go down there and talk to a real person, and it's because they laid everybody off.
And what was that, about 3 people out of 800?
I know. Sometimes, it's a whole big city, it's a whole big lot of services. Like maybe they cut the cleanup in your park. That's too bad. But if they cut in the neighborhood over's park, like who cares? This is my neighborhood.
I do find it intriguing, though, that Mayor Mike Johnston said he's going to spend $0 on illegal immigrants next year. $0.
Oh, did he?
This was after they spent $356 million. And Mikey said he was going to go to jail to protect the illegal immigrants. His Tiananmen Square moment. Now we're not spending any money. You think he's kind of come to terms with the fact they ran out of money on that one?
No, people stopped coming.
Yeah,
I 100% believe if there was another influx of people from the border that wanted to come to Denver, that were looking for help, that were ready to be new neighbors and contribute, Mayor Mike's approach has always been, and I'm sure it would continue to be, he's told us many times, got to help people get a leg up, help people reach the opportunities that Denver is so.
Money.
Every one of those folks that I talked to, and there was one of these shelters for folks new to the city right by my house. They all wanted to work. They were all trying to do anything they could to work. That's what they wanted to do, and so. Yeah, I don't imagine that he would stop funding it if it happens.
I thought he learned his lesson.
No, I totally disagree. Not only did Mayor Mike not learn the lesson you think he learned, I think Mayor Mike has learned a lesson that all the Democrats will be looking to next year.
Yeah.
Because he has figured out a way to take immigration and make it an economic benefit issue.
Oh, he did not. Okay, we're going to talk more about this. You're listening to Jeff and Bill, News Talk 710, KNUS.